What's up, everyone? Healthy Assets Back, community member of the Wealth Group. And today I have with me one of my favorites, the most handsome young face of WG. I got Bryce the Trader.
What's going on, everybody?
Today we're going to dive into Bryce's journey, what it's like for him in Wealth Group, how he worked his way up, and how he kind of used being an athlete and that discipline to kind of help him on his journey now. Bryce, how you doing today, bro?
Doing fantastic, man. Doing fantastic. We got FOMC today, so excited for that. Gonna be a lot of volatility, and excited to talk with you, man. Excited to share my story a little bit. Wealth Group has been a life changing spot for me, so I want to give people a little bit of an insight to that.
Once you come into that group, like you're kind of just starting out fresh, but you went in and you've made a name for yourself and you've built your rep all the way up to where you're at now. And that's kind of like what the biggest thing about being a community member is. It's more than just like a call group. Like it's way deeper than that. It's a spot where you can come learn education. You meet lifelong friends. I mean, you built relationships with how many people in the group now? So, myself included, I've had the pleasure of again meeting you, Tariq in person, like Mouse, all great people, man. And like that vibe didn't shift from behind the screen to in person.
Yep, absolutely. No, I mean it's I feel like outside of all of the knowledge that I've gained, outside of the rep that I feel like I've built for myself, the biggest thing has been the friendships that I've built. Some people that I lean on more than individuals that I've known my entire life, right? That I've known since I was 5 years old. I have more trust in some of the people that I've met in the group than I do those people. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic to have somebody who has the same goals as you. It's fantastic to have somebody who's on the same path as you, and somebody that you can just trust who has your back unconditionally, right? So yeah.
Yeah, man, I agree with that, and like, it's cool because I know crypto guy Johnny to me in real life, and like the network he's built and the community that he has, and like being able to know everyone, and like you said, bro, like these people become closer than me than some of my real life friends. So,
Yep.
bro, I totally understand that. All right, Bryce, bro, give us like a little breakdown of what it was like for you before you even came across crypto. Like, how'd you get introduced to that, and maybe a little backstory for people who don't know you that.
Yeah, so I grew up I'm a Midwest boy, right? So I grew up in Ohio. There's not a whole lot to do there, obviously. Um my thing was I was always doing little like odd side jobs as a kid, right? So I know like back in the day, I was selling golf balls on a golf course that we'd find in ponds, and then I kind of pivoted into reselling shoes. So my thing was I would bot shoes and then resell them, go to all the sneaker events. So I started making a little bit of money, and I was doing well. And then COVID hit, right? And throughout this time, I'm building myself up, as a person, as an athlete. Um, but just to fast forward, COVID hit, and that's where my eyes really started to open to crypto. Because obviously I was inside, was constantly on my computer, whether it was gaming, whether it was on Twitter, and I saw individuals making just a ridiculous amount of money. And I think that it's a fantastic litmus test for people to see how early they got involved in crypto, because if you see some individual who's making an absurd amount of money, and you think that you can't replicate that yourself, it says a little bit about you. So initially, when I first got in, didn't really know what I was doing. Really, I wasn't operating on leverage much. I was just buying coins on Coinbase that were up on the month, up on the week, and down on the day. So I just rinse, repeat. I'd look at the monthly chart, I'd look at the weekly chart, and I'd look at the daily. If they were down on the day, and I was scalping, 4 or 5% moves. But to me, that was kind of like my first early stages of like pattern recognition. And
Yeah.
that started to progress a little bit. I got a little bit deeper. I joined another group, and yeah, I was spending so much time in that group, and I started to realize a little bit that the information that I was getting in that group might have been coming from some individuals that now not now, but some individuals who were running Wealth Group at the time. So why would I stay in a group rather than go to the top group, right? Why would I stay into a group
Yeah.
that's kind of mimicking the marketing, the ideas, the technical analysis of another group? It just didn't make sense to me. So, um, I joined.
That's an interesting that's an interesting point, especially since you've kind of got a good taste of like the hustle early on, starting out between the golf
Yep,
balls and the shoes. You understand what it's like to take something, buy it for one price, sell it for another price, right? So you're
absolutely.
getting that just at a pretty young age. Now, COVID hit, that's kind of like the start of that second bull
Yep,
run, right? That cycle. So now you're entering this phase of the market where it's kind of about to be on the up and up,
yep,
right? Like that low crash is when really a lot gave a lot of golden
yep,
entries for a lot of people. So now you're starting to see this. You're starting to get these simple swing trades on spot, which is huge. And now you're starting to recognize patterns. And kudos to you for being able to put two and two together. This is recycled information.
yep,
Now let me kind of like see where the source is coming from.
absolutely.
So you got that part. You here now. So then how did you kind of come across like WG? Was it a Twitter page? Was it something on there?
Yeah, so I think talking about kind of realizing where a lot of the information was coming from. I remember seeing an individual in the old group that I was in calling out coins, and I would see them being talked about on Twitter by John, and I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. And then obviously started paying a lot more attention to John's Twitter, and the people that were in his social circle, I would say.
Yeah.
And yeah, at that point, I realized that he had the group, and then I joined the group. I can't remember exactly when it was. I think it would have been a little bit later down the line. Because truthfully, I did get hit pretty hard from the lunar crash and from the Celsius crash. So I had my burn there that took me away from crypto for a little bit. That was hard. That was a really hard one for me to come back from. Uh, I kind of revamped it a little bit um, around bear market lows. I really, 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 really got back to, you know, 6 to 8 hour days on screens near bear market lows. An opportunity, or it was a combination of luck and opportunity, really. Um, Getting in the group at the time that I did, because there were just so many fantastic entries called out, whether it was, Michelle calling basically the Bitcoin bottom, whether it was John calling the Solana bottom. It was simply unbelievable to see. And I really just realized, like, yeah, I want to be around these people. I want to be around these people, and I want to be able to do what they do to the level that they do, right? Because I was maybe at a 3 out of 10, and these guys are at 10 out of 10. And when I saw the skills that they had, it was just like, okay, I need to start working. I need to start grinding. I need to start working. And yeah, I just kind of put my head down. I was in chart ideas pretty much every single day, and then I worked myself up from chart ideas to talents and showcased my abilities and talents, and then eventually got a full-time role. But yeah, it's been a wild journey, man. It's been an absolutely wild journey, a life-changing journey, really.
Kudos to you for really like hitting that all-time low with that lunar crash, right?
Yep.
And then, like you have that moment in time, right? So you could either called it quits there and kept it moving, or would you do what you do? You lock in, you come up with a new game plan, you join the group at almost what was like the perfect timing for you, right? Bear market lows was a scary hour for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
And PS to anyone that's listening right now, chart ideas is where you go to grow, like
Yep.
literally. And I do remember seeing a lot of your posts from early on, like for a while I've been a member, and I've always kind of like observed from the outside and kind of always watched, and I've seen a lot of people develop and grow, and like you've done that role, and to where you're at now, like that's a beautiful sight to see, right? Because there's people who pursue what they love and they never end up doing that because they can't get past that first, gut punch, and they call it quits there. And like, dude, you did the opposite. So, dude, that's awesome. Because if you didn't, we honestly probably might not be here today. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you did that.
I appreciate that. I
Um,
appreciate that. It's
what kind of gave you the strength to do that though? Like, is there anything that you kind of leaned in on, or like what kind of outside of like, crypto influences that kind of told you like, hey, keep going, man. Like there's something to this.
I would say I would say it was actually kind of the opposite when it comes to like outside influences. Everybody was telling me to get away from it, and
Mm.
that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to deal with, right? You have family members, you have family members, you have friends, girlfriends at the time were telling me, hey, you're spending too much time on this. You need to be focusing on other things. And for me, my big thing was just I wanted to become free and be able to work for myself and be able to do what I want when I want as quick as humanly possible. Right. That's always been something that's been ingrained in me. And I think that's where some of like the athletics come in, where, you know, I'm a wrestler. All of my performance is I'm responsible for all of my performances,
Yeah.
right? I can't shield that responsibility on anybody else.
Hmm.
So I think that, in a space like crypto or being an entrepreneur, it's perfect for me because if something is not going right, it's my fault. Right. So that, that, uh, that I think is what really drove me to stick around the space is okay, I know that long term this is a very viable option and I know that people can make a lot of money very quickly in this space. I know that I just need to stick around and see it
Hmm.
through. And yeah, like I said, it's super hard when you have friends, you have family members, girlfriends saying, "Yeah, I think it's a scam. I think it's a scam." And, of course, a few years later they come back and
Wow. Can you show me the way? Or can
yeah,
can I have
exactly.
this all with handouts now,
Exactly.
right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I totally get that, bro. All right. So in the group now, in chart ideas, where was that moment, that aha moment where like things really clicked? Because you said chart ideas to talents. What were you doing to get to that point, right? Like you can't just be in the chart ideas. You must have been active. Like what are your steps and where was that aha moment? Like, okay, WG is home. This is where I'm gonna grow and like be a part of now.
So I think the main aha moment for me was formulating those relationships and getting feedback constantly from people who were doing it big, right? I was in Woods's classes for a little bit. Tariq was always helping me out. Dallas and I were constantly bouncing ideas off of each other. Um, and the moderators too, right? I was just sharing my ideas and constantly tweaking, getting feedback from individuals about what they look for, and just utilizing the confluences of other people to develop my own personal trading strategy. Um, Once it clicked, it was like riding a bike, right? Learning to ride a bike. I fell down so many times. I tried so many different strategies. I
Yeah.
mean, I could go down the line Elliott waves, Fibonacci, smart money concepts, just simple trend breaks, and there was just tinkering nonstop all day, every single day. And once I finally found something that I could replicate, it was like, okay, I'm never going to lose this.
Yeah.
Yeah, market conditions might change, and I've developed my strategy a little bit more to be suited towards whether it's a trending environment or a ranging environment. But yeah, once I started seeing consistent success, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, I know I'm going to do this. Um, and I would have never been able to get to that spot if it was not for all of the people in Wealth Group, if it wasn't for chart ideas, if it wasn't for, the trade breakdowns from the traders that we have.
Yeah.
It's not just a signals group. You're not just getting, hey, I'm entering this here. This is why I'm entering this here. I think that's the main difference between us and a lot of other groups is there are detailed explanations for every single reason that you are taking a trade. That's huge, right? If you're somebody who's trying to learn, you need to know why you're doing what you're doing, right? If you're let's just say you're a plumber and somebody's showing you how to install a toilet, it's a lot more helpful to have them explain to you like why you're doing what you're doing, why you're putting this here, why you're putting that there. That's how you kind of start to build that in trading that pattern recognition for yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that, and like you need to have some sort of plan to follow or guide, right?
Yep.
Because if you did just go right into putting the toilet together, you're not going to know what washer goes where, or
Yep.
if you just mark it long when you meant to just, limit, and now all of a sudden you full ported instead of sized up with proper risk management, you're kind of literally SOL. So
Yep. Absolutely.
it's a lot more intricate, and you need to put those reps in and that time and that dedication to understanding your process, and also ultimately finding what works for you,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So now you've risen up, you got your role. Could you describe to us kind of like your style of trading and like what kind of things you look for, and how you kind of got to that point now?
So I really have two main strategies that I focus on, and it is dependent on what kind of market environment we're in, right? Whether it's a trending environment, or a ranging environment. So I would say from the end of 2023 until mm, early 2025, I was just taking one trade setup, uh, similar to what Tariq talked about on the last podcast, looking for lower time frame breakouts because you were having coins that are popping off 30, 40, 50% in hours. So once again, my head goes to, okay, how can I get the largest return in the quickest amount of time possible? And what I also loved about it too was I knew if I was wrong very quickly, right?
Yeah,
You know if you're wrong very
yeah,
quickly. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
sitting,
yeah,
yeah, I'm not sitting
yeah.
here being anxious about, man, should I close this position? Should I go stops break even? It's you get a little bit of instant gratification from it or instant, fuck.
Damn.
Yeah, instant
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But so that
Let me
has
ask you,
go
are
ahead.
you still spot trading, or now where are you at? Like, and did anything else change in this journey?
So I will swing spot and I think that this could piss some people off and it's not the case across the board. But I think that spot trading, long term holding outside of core majors and projects that we know are going to be around is becoming a lot more obsolete because the pure saturation in the market, right?
Mhm.
With constantly advancing technology, especially with AI and all of these new narratives, holding a project that is not advancing as well, it's completely obsolete because, let's say you have an AI project that's doing, the big thing right now. 6 months later, technology advances. Now you have a new project. Why would an individual buy the obsolete technology rather than the new technology? So you have to manage expectations and rotations a lot more than you did, I think, in years prior, right? You were seeing like a lot less rotations when the market wasn't as saturated in prior cycles. Um, so for me, yeah, it's been about swing spot trading and then really just buying spot on mass liquidation events, right? Just buying spot when I'm scared as a MF. That's my trigger. When everybody is scared and I'm scared to be buying spot, that's normally the best time to be doing it. And then selling when you see people buying watches, buying cars, buying houses, right? Um,
Or your friends now saying, "Hey, is this a good coin to buy?" Yeah,
exactly.
no, that's the top signal.
Exactly that. Exactly that. So, yeah, the spot trading has decreased a little bit. BTC is always going to be around. I think dollar cost averaging BTC is never going to be a bad idea. And I mined Bitcoin for a very long period of time with GPU miners and ant miners. That was another burn that I had with Celsius, Luna, and our mining liquidity pool. We mined for 12 months. We hooked up a Tesla charger to the Bitcoin miner, spending a boatload on electricity, and we mined for 12 months. And one day, the liquidity pool rugs. So that was like back to back to
Oh,
back. Yeah. So I've taken my blows in the space. I've taken my blows for sure. Um, and it has not been an easy process and even things like that are outside of my control. There were things that were in my control and I still made those mistakes, right? I've been down bad. I've over risked. I've had accounts liquidated before. I'm
yeah,
never going to hide from that. I'm never going to hide from that because I want people to know that, if you're feeling that, if you've been liquidated, if you are down bad, it doesn't always have to be that way. It
Yeah.
doesn't always have to be that way.
Yeah, I agree with that, bro. I mean, I feel like those are what we would call tuition fees, right? You
Yep.
need to experience those lows to get those euphoric highs. And,
Yep.
even circling back to what you said before, I do think you're right. Like this stage of this bull cycle or wherever we're kind of at or we're headed towards, it's way different than any of the previous ones. You do need to keep your majors involved. And like anything else, like the new and shiny, you want to keep an eye on. And ultimately, like having your plan of like, all right, I'm gonna buy here. If it goes to this point, I'll sell. If it doesn't, then like you said, you got to listen to your plan. You know when it's wrong,
Yep.
then you got to be willing to cut some losses.
Yep.
You got to be willing to understand your risk management, and these are all huge like points that Wealth Group and all the moderators and everyone in there talk about. Like you take a trade, they'll say specifically 2% risk.
Yep.
0.5 risk,
Yep.
understand where you're going, look here, potential take profits here,
Right.
stop losses set here. So they do a thorough explanation. And even you guys, when you're throwing a trade out there, because I see who's really active, I see who's throwing the trades up. A lot of people are following it. They're all in your guys' streams. You guys are giving specific instructions, and it's up to, essentially the person taking the trade to really understand, hey, don't overdo it. Like, this is where we're at. You will
Yep.
make your money. And the goal, at least for me right now, is never to go for the home runs. The home runs
Yep.
will come, but that consistent compounding over time will help that portfolio growth. And that's all
Absolutely.
stuff I learned inside of Wealth Group and by listening to your guys' stream. So it's a lot of knowledge in there. Um, Trading is intense. We all know that. You're fit, I'm fit, we work out, right? How has being disciplined with your fitness kind of helped you stay sharp or stay true to your game plan when it came to trading?
That's a fantastic question. That actually in our last topic, I thought about bringing that up. Physical discipline and emotional discipline, I think go hand in hand, right? If you have the ability to, sharpen your emotional state to the point where you're getting up in the morning and you're working out when you don't want to do it, I'll completely run it back. But yeah. So I mean, being a physically disciplined individual, it takes a lot, right? It's hard work. You're working out when you don't want to. You're eating food sometimes you don't want to eat. You're denying food that you really want to eat. Like I struggle with that all the time. But it goes hand in hand with trading because you are denying yourself short-term gratification for long-term fulfillment in the sense of, sure, you might be able to hit a home run trade by over risking and being a degenerate. It might work out, right? It might work out one time. But if you continue to do that, eventually you will lose everything, right? People get lucky in the casino sometimes. If
Hmm.
they stay around there, they will end up giving it back. So, you know, it's the same as it is with being physically fit and having emotional discipline and emotional intelligence and being able to say, yes, although I might be able to get some short-term gratification, I know that long-term this isn't going to make sense. It's not going to work out for me. And a lot of people struggle with that, especially in today's day and age. In my generation, our attention spans are very low, and we want things right now.
Yeah,
Now we want it
very
now.
true, bro.
So that's why, I think that so many people struggle with their first few months in trading because they're not looking to scale gradually and slowly. They want to enter the space and they want to make millions of dollars
Right
immediately.
away.
And that's just not the case. That's just not the case. You need to have discipline. And if you're somebody who has the ability to be physically disciplined, chances are you're going to have a better chance at at replicating that in a space like trading or a space like business. Right? I think that's why you see so many athletes do so well in business.
Yeah,
It's because they have the ability to deny things that um, aren't going to help them, even though it might feel good to them short term.
yeah. Especially that impulsiveness to just want to
Yep.
like, dude. There's days I wake up, we're gonna full port, and then I'm
Yep.
just like, hold on. let me just talk to myself. That's
Yep.
totally not what we're gonna do because we're gonna get wrecked. And you're
Yep.
right, dude. It's a casino, but you
Yep.
could be strategic in this one. You could set your stop losses. You can win if you do it according to plan and following your process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, brother, you're a community leader. You are actively trading. What does your day to day look like? How do you stay so locked in when it comes to the group, the trades, and then your physical fitness also?
So, um, I think in years prior, I tried to hide from it, right? But I'm currently a student athlete in college, so my days are very, very, very busy, and I don't say that to brag. It's just that's I'm finally, coming to terms with it and telling people about it because I think I think they'll respect me for it, but um, it's pretty much, I'm up early in the morning for practice. Before I go to practice, I'll normally do like a preliminary market scan. I don't like taking trades directly before I go and do something else.
Mhm.
That was something that I always struggled with. The first few years of my trading, was always wanting to be in a trade. So it's like I would enter something, I'd go to the gym, and I'm not focused on my workout. I'm focused on the trade. So that was something I had to overcome, and that was not easy at all. But I'll wake up in the morning, preliminary market scan. Do my skincare, take a quick shower, maybe grab a bite to eat if I'm not fasting. Um, Go work out, then come back, and then it's pretty much straight from working out. You still got that little euphoric
Yeah.
workout high, so
Uh-huh.
you know, right into work. Normally around 8:30, an hour before the New York market opens. And that's just kind of getting ready for New York Open, seeing where we're at, seeing what levels I want to play in the day, seeing what levels I want to play in the coming weeks, depending on if I haven't done that in a while. And then it's like pretty much from 8:30 to call it 11:30. I'm getting out market updates. I'm interacting with members in the community, or I'm streaming. Um, and then I'll catch another workout around 2 o'clock. Um, and after that workout, right back into it for Asia session, and then I'll do nightly streams as well. So it's pretty much every day for me throughout the day. It's either work or working in the gym or working on my craft. And yeah, it gets really exhausting, but at the same time, shit, I would be exhausted laying on my phone, right? I would
Yeah.
be I would be burnt out laying on my phone. So I wanted this, and yes, it can be super stressful sometimes, but I can't complain about the things that I've asked for, right? I'm at the end of the day, I'm living my dream in the fullest extent. Um, and yeah, like I said, it can be. I know firsthand with how much you work out, with training individuals, with everything you're doing for the group, and with everything you're doing for your own personal brand. It's a constant grind. It's a constant grind, but firsthand we are gaining on everybody else while everybody else is slowing it down. We are only picking it up. So it's just reminding yourself of that, reminding yourself of, yes, it is hard, but this is going to be better for me long term. It's just like what we talked about in our last topic. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Dude, it is though, and you know what? It can get boring when you're trying to master the monotonous, but that's only how you're going to gain the reps and the confidence. And yes, denying certain foods will kind of build that confidence when you're getting there. Denying that quick trade just off impulse will help build that confidence because you're going to be able to kind of see things fully play out before you're letting your kind of emotions or that immediate sense for instant
Yep.
gratification and being able to just push that back and slow it down a little bit, rewind, refocus, and kind of recenter. And dude, I love the fact that you actually go from one to the other because some people might touch grass. You're touching equipment, but that is
Yep.
essentially your way of touching grass. You get to reset that mind, come back, you
Absolutely.
come back with that euphoria after your workout. And yeah, dude, like what we do in a sense, we get to give back to our members of the group. We get to help them. And at the end of the day, we're here to serve others as well as kind of grow in that sense and doing our part. And like these intimate conversations, these connections, they go way further than just a couple of chats in
Oh
the
yeah,
group. So
absolutely, absolutely.
I love these. I thrive off of these.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, even the conversation we had yesterday, like
Do
those things are life changing for me, man.
yeah,
You, I think a lot of people don't realize like how much a quick 10-minute conversation with somebody you trust can change your life.
yeah,
Can make you have a better day, you have a better week, you have a
yeah.
better month, you have a better year.
Yeah. Even I knew that we had a lot in common even early as because we met originally in
Yep,
Dubai in person and we had a great conversation and
yep.
that's when I found out, in like how well of a wrestler you were and how much because wrestling was big for me when I was in high school. So
Oh
I
yeah,
understand how we are a part of a team, but
yep,
once you go out on the mat, it's you versus the opponent. So
absolutely.
you don't get to shield none of that. And
Yep,
the same applies when you throw a trade into the group.
exactly that.
All of that is on you. That
Yep,
that whoever follows that play is on you. So you better know what you're doing, and that only happens by putting in that time doing the monotonous work to get to the position that you're at. By starting out as just a member who joined the community, who went in the chart ranks, started bouncing ideas off of it, who absorbed knowledge from Woods, from Reek, who might have pinched an idea of Rigo instead of DCAing Bitcoin.
yep, yep,
Like there's so much in the group that offers, a plethora of knowledge, and then you kind of find your own groove
yep,
and you picked it up very well. And leading into that conversation, I didn't know, how that was going to be. I mean, I knew we were going to hit it off, but I was
yep.
like, wow, this kid, especially for, your age, you're going places, dude. Like,
I
and,
appreciate that. Yeah,
and you can see it already. And like, you staying locked in, you're doing your 2, 3, 4, 5 a days, you could say, right? Because
yeah,
this is equally as mentally training as it is physical training. So, you
hundred
know,
percent.
the charts are tough, man.
Yeah.
Um, what do you see next for yourself in Wealth Group, and like what's on your chopping block of accolades that you want to get to?
So for me, I'd like to get to a point where my Twitter is really built up, and I see guys like I'm not sure if you know TJR.
I think I've seen him.
Yeah, yeah, he's around my age, very big influence, and obviously super successful, but it's just nice to see somebody who has such a big following and community surrounding him, and you know at the end of the day, we're men. We like being listened to. We like voicing our opinion. We like to be heard. And I would love to get to a point where I can have a platform where I can speak my mind. I can speak my beliefs, and there are people who are following the same things, the same opinions, beliefs, values that I hold. I think really that's where I want to go to, and that's going to come from just staying doing what I'm doing, staying locked in and trading, staying on top of my trading and putting the time in and sending out quality trades. And then also too, just getting a little bit more active on Twitter and being more comfortable doing stuff like this.
Yeah,
Um, this is a big what's the word I'm looking for here? It's a big step for me. I never wanted to be the guy that really doxed because I was afraid for what people at home. I was afraid for what you know coaches, friends, girlfriends, even like I said, what
yeah,
they would think. And now I'm at the point where I'm so happy. I'm getting my face out there. I'm trying to build my brand, and that's like I said, that's the main thing. Just continue to build my brand, continue to give back to the people who have given to me.
yeah,
You know, yourself included. Like I want us all to just keep going up and up and up. And I know if you're going up, you're bringing me with you. If I'm going up, I'm bringing you with me. So like that's really what's next. That's really what's next.
bro, it's beautiful, man,
Yeah.
and I can relate to the docs part. It's in the beginning. This space. You see a lot of like animations or profile pictures
Yep.
of just anime stuff, and like it's tough, it's tricky, right? But being
Yeah.
doxxed in this space gives you that next level of like authenticity, and
Yep.
like a lot more people are willing to relate to that and
Yep.
understand what you're doing and kind of follow, which does put a target on us.
Yep.
But obviously, crypto's not going anywhere, and us as where we are. I want to put out only authentic information. I want to bring the real stuff out. And that's
Yep.
the only way we're going to do this is by being able to be doxxed in a
Yep.
space like this, have these conversations, jump on the spaces, jump on the calls, build up these
Yep.
profiles. So I get that, bro.
Yeah.
Um, I have a couple questions.
Yep.
One of them is what kind of impact do you want to leave on this space?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head is just authenticity, right? Like I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about how, you know, this space can impact you sometimes. It can be the greatest thing ever, and it can be something that is really really hard for you mentally. So I try to be open and honest about it. Like, yeah, I've been down before. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to take those losses on the back. And some people will hide from that and not talk about it, but I would rather just be a full and open transparent book, right? Like I think that's the main impact that I want to leave is just being somebody who is completely transparent, who's completely honest, so I have the ability to help people from making the same mistakes that I did. Because I don't want people to feel the way that I've felt at times before. I don't want people to have to experience that. So it's like if you can trust me enough to believe that what I'm saying is the truth, um, I that's what I want. So like I said, these people don't have to experience that same feeling of being down and being out. Um, and then there's also the flip side of that, right? They can build themselves up in the way that I've built myself up, and they can kind of. I want to be more than just a trader. Um, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a friend to a lot of individuals, and like I said, I just want to be that authentic guy. I think that's what it comes down to.
Beautiful, brother.
Yep,
All
yep.
right. Bryce the Trader, year one, new member of the group,
Yep.
day one. What is one positive influence to tell them or to tell your younger self, where to start or how to get into it?
Initially, when you first start, be very, very, very sparing with the capital that you invest until you are absolutely positive that you know what you are doing. And also know too, when you do start to size up your portfolio, the chances of you being able to replicate the smaller sized portfolio returns are not great, but eventually those things will come, right? I think a lot of people think, well, if I just had, $100,000 to trade with, this would be easy, right? I turn $10 into $20, something along those lines. That's not always the case, right? Like as you start to start playing with a little bit more money, it gets difficult, and it's gonna be hard, and there are gonna be some obstacles that you have to overcome. But just stay disciplined and make sure that your risk is always managed, and don't feel like you always need to be in a trade. I think that's kind of what I've started to learn over the past 18 months is you don't always have to be in a trade. The majority of the time where you're going to make the most money in a year is maybe three times, right? Maybe every 6 months even, when you have major events that get you discounted prices.
Yeah.
You don't have to be over leveraging and trying to hit home runs every single day. If you just stay small enough, long enough, you'll be big enough soon enough, right? Like you said, you got to compound it. You got to compound, and then eventually one of those home runs is going to come.
Yeah.
One of those home runs is going to come as long as you stick around, as long as you continue to do the right things. Something's going to click, something's going to pop off, and yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, man. I agree with that. I love that, man. Well, Bryce, bro, we covered literally a lot today,
Yep,
man.
yep.
You're starting WG fitness influence outside of it, bro. I want to say thank you so much for your time, man. I really enjoyed watching your journey from the start to where you're at now, and I know you're gonna do some big things, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Thank
Yeah,
you so much
man.
for having me on.
Dude, this was a blast.
Yeah.
If you had one of your mentors in front of you right now, what would be one question that you had for them?
I was actually in this situation because I saw John 2 weekends ago, and I didn't ask the question. I wish I would have. Is how do you take it to the next level,
Mm,
right? I feel like I'm doing a good job, but I know that there's more to be done. I just don't know. I don't have the information to take it to that next step, and I'll find it eventually. But that's what mentors are for. Because, like I said, somebody else has made the mistake before. If they've been through the process, then they can give you accurate information and tell you the steps that you need to take. So that I think that's what I'd ask is how do you take it to the next level? How do you go from you know trading well and doing good for yourself to just that elite level. That's where I would love to get to.
Yeah. Being in that man's proximity, I feel like my net worth just adds a zero by
right,
default. My knowledge is increased. Like,
right,
and I'm
right.
like, dude, he's such an open book when it comes to questions. And I feel
Yeah,
like some people have that hesitation. And like, I know you're a sniper, bro. You absolutely would ask it to him, but I get it, bro. Like,
yeah,
he's just a walking like magnet and a plethora of knowledge in himself. That's next. I'm gonna get into his mind next,
yes,
but
absolutely.
yeah, man. That's beautiful, bro. I'm gonna use that again soon. You'll see.
All right,
But
perfect.
bro, Bryce, this is a pleasure today, man. I'm so grateful you jumped on here with me, members of the community, anyone who's new, who's jumping in, man. If you're looking for a blueprint to follow, man, just listen to what we do on these podcasts. Check out charts, work your way up. You need to be active. Don't be shy. Follow in the steps of Tariq, Bryce, man. These guys are there, and now they're one of the leading people in the group, continuously talking, streaming. Like, you got to get active, and that's the only way you're going to grow, stepping outside of your comfort zone, just like he did himself. Bryce, bro, thank you so much for your time today.
I appreciate it, Drew. Episode 2 soon.
Episode 2 real soon, guys. Stay tuned.
I appreciate it, Drew. Seriously. Hey, have a great day, man.